Welcome everyone to the Wiseburn Unified School District Board meeting. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. Thank you everyone for joining us. And Wendy, would you please take roll?
Dr. Goldman,
Present.
Ms. Cappy, present. Ms. Legaspi,
Present.
Mr. Martinez,
Here.
Mr. Benwell.
Present. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to the flag salute, and I'm going to ask our Vice President, Ms. Neil Goldman, if you can lead us in the pledge.
You bet. Hand over your heart. Ready to give. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have nothing to report out of closed session. The board did not take any actions in closed. Next, we'll go to the adoption of our agenda for tonight. And is there a motion to approve the agenda as posted? Motion.
And a second.
Any questions? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Comments from the public. These are items that are not on the agenda item. We do have one comment today. Just as a reminder, based on the Brown Act, the board cannot respond to comments or any questions that may be tendered to the board, and we do have 3 minutes to address the board. We have Mary Ann Stanley Avila. Avila? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Comments and concerns about bullying and physical assault within Wiseburn Unified School District. Please come to the podium.
Hi. So, as a resident of Del Air since 1960, and also a special education teacher for over 40 years at the Los Angeles School District, retired and went back to school, currently work in special education at a charter school, and I teach one class at the University of Southern California. My granddaughter attends Del Air. Systematically, she's been bullied since first grade. She's now in the 4th grade. First grade, there was a physical assault, a sexual assault. 2nd grade, she was punched in the stomach. 4th grade, she's been bullied consistently. When we became aware of it, we approached the teacher, and the child who was doing the bullying was removed from her table. Last Thursday, an incident occurred where she again was being bullied, and a young student told her to get out of line and to be a good girl and get out of line. And a pushy match, ensued, and she doesn't allow anybody to touch her. She pushed back. Friday, during lunch, she was sitting in the cafeteria. Her friend asked her to save a seat. When another boy approached her and asked if he could sit there, she said, "No, I'm saving the seat." He then told another friend of his to move her. Exact words. The young man pulled her by her sweater to move her. She said, "No one is allowed to touch my body." He then pulled her by her hair to the ground, straddled her, and began to hit her in the head with his lunch pail, which had a thermos in it. Where was the supervision? As an educator, I know about supervision during the playground, in the cafeteria, and I also know as an educator, when students act out in this manner, they might have an IEP or a 504. So my question is, if these students have an IEP or a 504, and this is happening, that they're bullying or whatever, where are the interventions for those students with special needs? Of course, I'm furious about my granddaughter, but I'm also furious that if this child has a history of being a bully, where's his behavior plan? Was it implemented? Where does he have a one-on-one? Has the parents asked for a one-on-one? Was it denied because of funding? And I am not the only parent. Thank you.
Wendy, do we have any other public comments? Thank you. Next, we'll go to section 6. Start with item 6.1, is board member comments. I'm start on the opposite end of the table with Nelson here. Nelson?
Thank you, Roger. Just one quick comment. I was actually out of the country and missed it, but it was exciting to see the video on the groundbreaking at 135th and aviation there. I'm glad to see the activity. All the big equipment is underway and moving, so just excited to see that. And I don't have anything else except I did want to wish everybody a nice spring break as spring break is approaching here. That's it.
Thank you, Nelson. Michelle?
I just want to, and I'm glad Steve just walked in. I just wanted to say thank you to Da Vinci for the exhibition nights that happened this past week. I was able to attend the Da Vinci Science one, and it was amazing. Nothing short of amazing. I loved watching how engaged all the students were. And again, as a teacher, you just really love to see kids find their confidence and be able to, you can tell that they were very involved in their learning, and it was really fun for me to kind of go around and see all that learning and all that enthusiasm for their learning. So thank you for the opportunity for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Michelle. Neil?
No report, just to thank you for the comment and ask that offline, not at this meeting, of course, because we can't do this, to get more information here, please.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Thanks, Roger. So in the spirit of recognition that Michelle was talking about, the aviation had their variety show tonight this afternoon. I know there were about at least 24 kid, performances. And so just kudos to all of the kids that put themselves out there to show off their talents, whether it was Irish dancing or solving a Rubik's Cube or playing the piano or everything in between. And thank you to the PTA at Aviation for all of the work that it took to coordinate all of those acts and all the families that supported the kids. Just a really special thing to watch those 3rd through 5th graders do that. So kudos to all of them. I know we have a whole slate of resolutions that we're doing tonight, and I'm excited to recognize all of those. But I also know that we can't recognize everything, so I just wanted to shout out our library clerks for National Library Week. At Holly Glen, Renee Hubler; at Aviation, Liz Lagarda; at Del Air, Kathy Pitluck; and at the middle school, Crystal Mosler. I just think it's having access to a library that is fully stocked and has a variety of books to meet all of our kids' interests and learning needs, and just give them that love of reading. Thank you to all of the clerks who put in all of the time to get all of the students there. I'm so glad that the middle school has a library open again. I know it's been a period of time since we haven't had one, and so super happy that Crystal is getting that off the ground and going. It's so good. As an avid reader myself, a library card is your passport to other worlds, even if you can't leave your home. So really excited about that. And the last thing I wanted to say was that Rock Around the Block is coming at the end of the month, so make sure you get those tickets. The Ed Foundation volunteer. We need volunteers. Always need volunteers. Who's getting in the dunk tank
I
this
volunteer
year?
Nelson to
To do the dunk tank. Okay, cool.
Like
I'll let them know.
I retired a long time ago.
Here, here.
But yeah, so it should be a wonderful day where we get to celebrate more of the arts and education and all of the wonderful things that our kids are doing throughout the district. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Just one follow-up as well. Dr. Silvers, if you could provide an updated look into the public comments that we received today. Thank you, Mrs. Avila, for your comments. I don't have an update for today, so we're going to move right into the mathematics update. And Maggie.
Thank you. Well, we had our last how-to meeting, which is our district instructional leadership team. And from that meeting in March, we were really looking at ourselves through our network at CAPS and the training we've done with the CAPS network. And we decided we needed to relook and redevelop our essential standards throughout our in all of our subject areas. And I just would really like to commend the middle school who have done this process before, but really took a hit at redeveloping them by looking at their current data, the needs of their students, and making that adjustment. And so bravo to Brandy Garcia, who really did help lead that amongst her math team. And so thank you for that effort. But I don't want to stop just at the middle school because all of the other 3 subject areas did that same work over at the middle school. And our elementary launched their Essential Standards Day. And so thank you to Morgan Roy and to Marissa Larson, who really led that conversation amongst the entire 3rd grade team as a district. And these essentials are so important as we are, we're not just using them within our classes and talking about the redesign of our lessons and our units of instruction. We are using this with our design team and making an assessment vision for the district, as well as the feedback that we provide our students and the feedback we provide to our parents, through a report card. And so that component is key to those next steps. Our design team's meeting in May, on May 20th. And so all of the grade levels and teams, except for one, will be done by then. And so that's an exciting thing to bring forward. And that day is going to be wonderful. We're having our 2nd student panel as well. Our first day ended with a student panel of our educators asking students questions about the feedback they received. And it went with just such overwhelming response from the teachers, learning so much from those voices that we're going to be bringing back a 2nd set of students to have that conversation. So that's really great. As always, we're busy in ed services. Summer Graves and Kim Jones and myself attended a weekend conference in San Diego called the AI Show. It was a free conference for educators. And boy, walking into that was a room of buzz over at the convention center on just all the tools that are coming out with education. It's like, you just don't know what to pick and which, sessions to go to. But we all just tackled 3 new tools. And one I was already talking to the math team about called Tutero. And we're going to look into that as a supplemental material for mathematics that really does help us align our assessments and our curriculum. And so that's a very exciting time for us as a district and as team levels. So that's all for ed services. I think we're all just hanging on for dear life to spring break tomorrow. Okay, I have one more too about CASP assessments. We're getting ready. As soon as we get back, we're going to begin about a week out after spring break. We're going to begin our CASP assessments at the middle school first. They go the first week or last week in April, excuse me. But the first week in May, traditionally our elementary schools started, and we're going to continue to start on that day. This year, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to start with mathematics as our first assessment to go to see what data that provides us. We know about, testing fatigue for our littles. So we really want to hit it off with all the work we've done with math, if that will help, with our student scores. So that was bravo to the elementary teams for that work.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maggie. Blake, we'll turn it over to you for district leadership reports.
Sure. Passing. Monique?
Sure. I have a couple updates. Enrollment, we are excited to be working on our first day packet. So as we've talked about before, we're switching over from Schoolmint to PowerSchool enrollment, which we think will be so much easier for our families. And with that comes revision of our enrollment packets for the first day of school. So the legal information families need to know, the handbooks, the drop-off times, all that information will be included in these first day packets that parents will receive over the summer. And we'll have this new, hopefully much easier and user-friendly method of ensuring that our families are informed and that we get the initials on those agreements and signatures that we need. The enrollment office has been busy accepting and sorting applications. We have about 2,300 students anticipated for enrollment so far. That number continues to rise. We're still processing permit applications, and so and actually folks, continuing students who haven't filled out their paperwork yet. So we do expect that number to continue going up. We also still have a lot of families showing interest in learning more about our schools. The middle school had another tour last night, again with about 175 people who attended, which has been like what we've seen at almost every tour at the school. So lots of interest there, which is great, and excitement. As Rebecca mentioned, there are a lot of resolutions on the agenda tonight related to inclusion and just celebrating our community. There are a lot of recognizing our teachers, our speech pathologists, our principals, and all of our staff and all the wonderful work that they do with our students and supporting our community. And also observances highlighting and celebrating cultures, including AAPI and our Jewish community as well. So we're excited about that, and our counselors are prepared to talk with our teachers about that, and our teachers will then talk to our students about that, and we'll have different activities again for our students. And finally, the Learning Recovery Opportunity Program is also up and running. We have over 700, actually almost 800 signed agreements, which means that we have almost 800 students who are eligible to receive instructional materials when they're absent. And if they complete that, then they'll also receive credit for their attendance. And so I think a huge highlight here is just how well our different departments are working together. So the business office, student services, and our school sites are really working hard to make sure that our families are supported, that students know how to access the information, and that also that our records are accurate.
And Dr. Ingram, the credit recovery, how many days can students make up? Is it
Up to 15.
up to 15? So that's significant.
Yes, so previously there was a minimum of 5 days, but now it can be anywhere from 1 to 15 days.
A couple questions on the credit recovery. I'm assuming that's going to be part of the packet next year.
Yeah,
800 is great, but it's only a third of our students roughly.
exactly. So
Wow.
this year, parents will receive that agreement request over the summer. So we'll start the year off hopefully with all the agreements signed, or at least most of them.
Great. And then there was one other question. You mentioned 2,300 as to our enrollment. That's our number as of this moment for next year.
Yes.
How does that compare to last year, if you know? Obviously, we're looking for probably a couple hundred more.
Did you say 2,300?
2,300. Compared to last year, we were around 2,400.
Okay.
So a little bit lower. I think we have a lot more applications to process, and we've refined what that process looks like. So it's taking a little bit longer. But again, making sure families feel welcomed and we're able to really reach more of the community. So I think more of those requests are coming in to join our district.
Please keep us posted.
It's typically a little over 2,500, right?
Right.
Okay.
Our
But
LCAP, and our LCAP goal is around 2,500.
2,500. Okay, so we're a little behind right now.
Right.
Okay.
Rebecca, do you have a couple questions?
Just a comment, which was, I know all the schools are celebrating these different months in different ways. And I just wanted to thank all of the school sites for all the work that they've put in to doing that, because it has opened doors to conversations at home. You know, I had my fourth grader came home and was like talking about neurodiversity and, you know, how to recognize differences and, you know, and it just opened conversations. So thank you to all of the work that the schools are doing and all of the activities that they had. You know, there was a lot of enthusiasm, I think, for those. Last week was like a spirit week at aviation with different things. So it's been lovely. So thank you for all of the work that's gone into that.
Back to you, Blake.
Right, I am gonna just reintroduce Greg Magnuson. I know he doesn't have a report.
Actually, I hope you don't have a report, Greg.
No, Greg is in Sean's absence for a short period. Greg has stepped in again. This is part two. And, you know, some of the things that we're looking at and that we're working on are some of our systems in the business office, just kind of continuing some of the work that we did a few years ago. There's still some areas that we could certainly improve some of our systems. So excited to get into that work. Excited for his leadership to help us continue to do that. So Greg Magnuson, everybody.
Happy to be here.
Welcome, Greg. Welcome back.
Good being back in Plattsburgh.
Few updates. I was going to actually say there were 185 people last night at the tour. I counted, Monique. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to exaggerate a little bit. She's probably right. But you know, I just want to say I want to thank Kiana and Sarah Hackett, you know, the administrative team over there for their presentation to the families. A lot of excitement in the room. You know, a lot of people to tour, you know, the campuses. But want to thank the maintenance facilities crew, custodians. Archie, for his leadership in that area, because, when you walk around the campus, it really does look nice. It really looks nice. And a lot of the families are commenting on that, the niceness, I guess, if that's a word, of the campuses, the cleanliness and so forth. And, it's hard to, sometimes you have to, this is a middle school and there's, if you walk around and you see, there's not a lot of trash. I mean, things are just very well kept. And, obviously a testament to the kids, testament to the leadership, testament to the custodial grounds crew, all those folks that put in that work. So I just wanted to highlight that. Also want to plug, and we're going to continue to plug from a messaging communication standpoint, summer camp. Christina's here in the back. I know it's been quite a push this year. I know we're sort of under enrolled right now, under what we would like to be in terms of enrollment. Maybe in May we can come and give you more of an update, like actuals. But for now, we're going to do a full court press on trying to get some of this messaging out and really try and bolster that enrollment in partnership with the Ed Foundation, Wiseman Ed Foundation, as well as the Da Vinci Schools Fund. So here we go, trying to increase that enrollment. Also looking at dashboard planning. I know I brought to the team. I want to thank Maggie for bringing in Joel Rabin. Am I pronounced that right? Sorry, I call him Joel. But nonetheless, Joel has had an awesome, has an awesome presentation to share with the board on May 8th. His plan is to be here. This is the ever elusive scorecard that Neil has been talking about, and we're actually pretty excited to bring to you. It's a pretty comprehensive process that we've gone through with metrics and trying to at least get those baseline metrics. It's going to include a dashboard, but also a scorecard. So there's going to be some of the key metrics on the front that'll be red, yellow, green, or some set of colors. But beyond that, also a little bit more in depth as it relates to some of the metrics that we're looking at and achievement and so forth. Part of that process, Maggie's also worked with him on creating kind of a district snapshot at a glance, something that either could be, it looks awesome, by the way, the draft of it looks really awesome, capturing some of the major metrics in the district. I'm going to say it's a brag sheet. I'm not going to say it's a marketing tool, but it is that too. Something that we can hand out at tours, something that we can have in the office. We can print them or else also use them and distribute them electronically. It looks good in both versions, whether it be in print or electronically. So happy to share that over the coming, weeks or board meetings. So just wanted to share and I think that ties in, we had mentioned last board meeting about strengths training. And our strengths, I guess it is strengths training and identifying strengths. We shared that we had used the Gallup, the Clifton Strengths tool, and really looking forward to having these conversations about strengths. Whatever tool we use with our staff as we move into this year, we're looking at our leadership team through our how-to process. Really wanting to get people talking about that because ultimately getting that down to students is important. So just more to come on that as we move through this process, but it's really front and center. Had an opportunity to meet with Nisha and Fabletics across the street there on aviation because there's some interest in some kind of sponsorship. We're not quite sure what that's going to look like for the Wiseman Sports Complex. Kind of their mission and vision matches a lot of kind of what we're looking at, and obviously they're an athleisure company, so them being able to have that facility across the street means something to them, and certainly could mean something to us as well. So we are looking at some opportunities here that could come back around. Nothing specific yet, but just wanted to share some of the early conversations as it relates to that. I mean, obviously we'll have to take a look at options, but a lot of buzz and interest in that sports complex, and so I just this is just one of those examples. Also wanted to sort of highlight, I know there's a couple construction, items on the agenda today, and I was just kind of doing a list. I was looking at our solar program. I was looking at 2 TK renovations. I wrote down a soccer field, Wiseman Sports Complex, a network overhaul. We're doing a furniture pilot coming up here in a week. We had our phase 1 of the refresh on our campuses. We had our access control, and this is all, 2022, we passed a bond in November of 2022. so end of 2022. So just in a year and a half or, really 2 years, I mean, the amount of work that's happened and that's visible across our campuses is really, 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 it's evident and it's just a lot. And so I just want to thank the team. I know Tony on the infrastructure side, obviously Cherie and Noemi who are here, who are really quarterbacking that. And I know the whole team, I can't make that mistake again. But the team at NAZ for their diligence on this. But what that leads to is we are going to have a bit of a hiccup at the middle school coming up. We're going to have one of the sidewalks is going to be demolished during spring break. Unfortunately, we can't wait till summer. So we are going to have a bit of a path of travel issue that we're going to be working through. So I know the team is working with Kiana and Sarah, Archie, to just make sure that we have the cones and separation, all those things that you need to make sure that we can have safe ingress and egress for our students through this process. That sidewalk obviously won't be back until the site opens probably. Yeah, this is it. This will be it for a while. So we're going to have to set up some plans and so forth for that. So anyway, all good. But I just wanted to share that's kind of that's down the pike, and we'll monitor and adjust, and it won't be perfect the first day or the second day, but we'll get there. We'll get close. That's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Neil?
Yeah, a couple comments on a couple of things that are going on. Scorecard, exciting, as always. Summer program. Parents, if you saw those kids last summer, you wanted them in this program. It was such a success. And now they figured it all out. It's going to be even better. So sign up. And then AI. Thank you for the comments on AI. It's a particular passion of mine. I think a leveraging opportunity for us all. I'm not sure if this is for you, Maggie or Dr. Silvers, to give us an update, maybe a plan for a presentation on, there's so much out there. I don't know how you do this, but how do you keep us abreast of everything that's opportunity for us and keep us up to speed on this? And then relative to that is the conversation about the portrait of a learner. I don't know where we are on that. So kind of just keep us going.
Going to add to that because
Please.
The portrait of learner was kind of that combination we're working with DaVinci on. So,
Right.
And it's all related to AI. So
Which for the public is, what are the expectations and requirements of preparing students for the future, given AI capabilities?
Okay, noted.
Noted. I don't have any clarification on those yet, but we will.
Yeah.
I appreciate that and appreciate the questions.
And thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Neil. We're going to move on to section 7, which is comments from the public on agenda items. Wendy, do we have any comments on agenda items?
I do not.
Okay. We're moving on to section 8, which are consent items. Is there a motion to approve item 8.1?
So
which
moved.
would approve 1 through 13. So Rebecca, second.
second with just a quick comment.
Nelson. Okay. Go ahead, Nelson.
So with regards to the items here, we have a myriad of resolutions as we spoke about earlier, all resolutions that obviously I support. I would ask my colleagues for some consideration maybe down the road or in the future with regards to revisiting the list. One of the concerns that I have is to make sure that we're not excluding anyone. And it's hard to capture all the groups. So a possible consideration might be to categorize in a more general fashion, but that sticks with our core values. We're inclusive of everyone when it comes to student learning. So I would just ask that we maybe consider that in the future. That's all.
Any other comments? Thank you. Thank you for that, Nelson. And all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion carries 5-0. Action items. First item is 9.1, change order number 1 to contract for campus modernization items and services from Arbin Union School District Piggyback. Wow, this one's a mouthful. This is a long one. Number 2022-23-001. For work at Aviation Elementary School and Weisburn Middle School for flooring and ceiling tile refresh project. The amendment would be to Kyle Services to be paid for Measure E. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Second with a question, just,
Go ahead, Neil.
I'm just going to allow Noemi to come up here and give us the update. Um,
Oh,
What was the change, the carpet to the flooring? What's the, just help read between the lines here, please.
So as you recall, we brought this item at the last board meeting for approval. Unfortunately, because we were pushing and rushing to get the proposals in time for the board meeting so that we can start the process of procurement, when it went through their cost estimating department, one of the iterations, we went through several iterations as we were adding sites, removing sites. We ended with only 2 sites, as you know, Aviation and Weisberg Middle School. In doing so, when it went through Kaya's cost estimating department, one of the line items, which was for the interlocking carpet tiles, was accidentally removed from the proposal. And it was the entire line item for the amount of $131,000. And then the second item, which is really optional, but I highly recommend it, it's $45,000 to replace the NPR flooring at Aviation Elementary School. Right now, the way the board approved the cost is for just maintenance, essentially. Leaving the existing VCT, they would just strip it, wax it, and seal it, but then it doesn't resolve the ongoing maintenance issue with VCT flooring. By incurring the $45,000, which I think are well worth it, we'll go with a much more durable LVT, a logo, and removes and eliminates all future maintenance for that site.
You just quickly answered my question, which was with this change for aviation, then you'll get the logo
Correct.
into the floor, which
And it'll match the rest of the site, the LVT, versus leaving just the NPR with the VCT because it's newer, but it's already over 10 years old anyway.
You have the old bulldog on the wall, so
Exactly.
the new bulldog on the floor.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, that's right. It's on the stage, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer?
That was perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Noemi.
Should I stay here for?
You're probably gonna stay.
I want to stay up here for a little bit. I have a motion from Nelson, a second from Neil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. 9.2, award of bid number 2025-04 for the baseball field improvement project, Del Air at Da Vinci Connect, at Del Air and Da Vinci Connect with Corner Keystone Construction Corporation, also to be paid from Measure EE funds. Is there a motion?
A motion with a comment?
I have a comment too.
Nelson, Becca. We'll start with Nelson.
First comment, I'm glad to see this project moving forward. So I want to thank, obviously I know Roger and Neil been involved working with Joe and Ray and Da Vinci on this. So thank you. I'm glad to see it moving forward. And second of all, Noemi, really good bid results. Nice to see all these bid results and it seems like pretty tight. So glad to be approving this.
Thank you, Nelson. Rebecca?
I have just a quick comment. I just want to say, I mean, I know, we're talking about a baseball field. I think this is bigger than a baseball field. This is an improvement to some play space for Connect as well. Obviously the baseball field is, something that's needed. And I'm really, really excited for the baseball community in Weisburn for this. Also excited for the Connect community that they're going to have a nicer grass area. I think it's hard to see what that actual impact of this new space is going to be when you're looking at renderings. I just think once it's unveiled, I guess for lack of a better word, it's going to be quite a difference and quite an upgrade. And nothing's perfect, but this is pretty darn close.
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win.
There'll definitely be an inconvenience when it comes to construction, obviously, because we are looking to potentially start as early as May 1st. But we have already confirmed with the contractor that he is in fact available because initially the construction schedule didn't have him start till after school ended for the summer. And talking to both Weisburn staff and Da Vinci staff, we're looking at potentially starting it earlier so that we can turn over the site much faster because there is a 90-day maintenance period.
And just to add to that too, I mean, we all know, and we're seeing it at the middle school right now when you're doing construction during the school year. And I know Roger Nelson, very well. There is some impact, and we're seeing impact on, I guess it would be the westernmost gate of the middle school. That was the permanent gate that separated the old middle school. The lot in the school has now moved closer, it's a temporary fence. And, you know, you're gonna have dust and you're gonna have, I mean, as much as you control for those things, you have that, you have noise, you know, and we're trying to work within that. So there's impact there. There's gonna be impact to the Connect site, certainly. And I think it's trying to mitigate and minimize that time, and that impact. The May conversation really revolved around wanting to start the school year fresh.
That was the
You
question.
know.
Is this going to be completed by the beginning of school?
It'll be completed, but we'll be still in the
Establishment period. They call it the maintenance period, but it has, remember, it's natural turf, natural grass. It requires 90 days for it to establish. And we certainly want to stay off of it to ensure that the investment takes, exactly. That's why we want to start sooner. I have been in communication with Kaylin, the principal at Da Vinci Connect. In fact, I have a meeting. Personally, I'll be meeting with her on Monday, just to once again go over the project, go over some of her concerns, how hopefully we can address them. And just, I'll continue to be her point of contact going forward directly on that project.
And that was your question?
No, I had one more comment. Just, I think you mentioned, Nelson, this is a win-win. I just want to say that it's not in the documentation, but a shout out and thank you to the Da Vinci team, the Da Vinci board, Da Vinci organization, that this is a shared partnership. We're both paying for it. So thank you very much. And I know a couple of you in the room, so I'm looking at you guys.
And I would just say to that note, did receive an email from Matt today. He has confirmed that. He did ask that they approve it at their next regular meeting, so that's what's gonna happen, or, you know, that consider it, I assume. I guess we're, you know, presupposing that they're gonna approve it. But yeah, I think the intention is that it'll be approved at the next meeting. We're just moving forward, pretty much full force, but we do have the document. The board had asked that we put together a document, both parties will sign. We've already passed that and approved that here. That'll just get passed on to Da Vinci to do their piece, and then we'll have that on file and be able to do all the accounting. It's really for accounting sake, you know, it's to receive monies and send monies, so that our team, the business office and Da Vinci's business office can kind of make good on whatever, you know, the financial side of the agreement.
Rebecca?
Yeah, just as we start this project and the project is happening at the Weisborn Sports Complex, I know the SLC building is still there. So can you just give me an update of like the impact with the baseball field project and that in terms of when SLC will be moving?
SLC is currently still under DSA review. During my last bond program update, we discussed potentially looking into a contingency plan. We certainly want to look into that and just be prepared. That is definitely not what we're going to expect. We're going to keep pushing and do whatever we can to keep the project on time. In fact, we're out to bid currently on a parallel path. So we expect bids to come in on May 8th. We're hoping to bring it to the May 22nd in award of contract. So we can't really award a contract until we have DSA approval. So we're very close. We're about 5 to 6 weeks away from that. We are confident that we will have DSA approval by then. If not, then I think we're going to have to call that lifeline. Remember, I talked about potentially having to call a friend.
Phone a friend.
Yes, phone a friend. There you go. Phone a friend. I think we're going to have to call Doug Humphrey and beg. I've already had to do it once, but maybe next time Blake can be in the room. Yeah, because I've already used my phone a friend within this year.
I just was curious about the timing of when that needs to go away at the Weisborn Sports Complex part so that they can.
Well, the plan,
versus
if everything goes as planned, is that we're going to allow them, SLC, to finish the school year at their current location. We have no intent to demolish until summer, obviously. The staff and students will be temporarily relocated to Del Air for summer school, at which point it allows us to get in there and start demolishing. The plan that we're potentially looking at, and this is something we're just talking, nothing has.
Maybe we shouldn't.
We shouldn't say it. Yeah, I won't say it. Yes.
I just
So
wanted.
June, our goal is to start demolishing the building June 16th. Like I said, we're planning to award May 22nd for the contract for SLC new home at Da Vinci Connect. If it all goes as planned, then we can start as early as June 1st with that project.
But it doesn't impact this baseball field project.
It will. It'll be a very tight area. I mean, something to be aware of, but contractors are used to working on top of contractors on much larger scale projects. I mean, they are working essentially within the same footprint. The good news is if we do in fact move forward with the baseball field on May 1st, then we're buying time and we can start the demolition. That way we don't have demo happening at the same time with two different contractors.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, we're not being secretive. It's that we need to get fully fleshed. I don't want to share an update 3 times. You don't want to, once you start changing something once and there's just a lot of moving pieces and timelines and trying to figure out when DSA approval is going to happen and, how much adjusting do we actually have to do? So we are working on a plan. I think we have a pretty decent contingency opportunity that would be as little impact as possible. I don't think it's going to be hurtful. I mean, it's going to be a bit inconvenient, but we just don't want to go there until that plan is fully vetted and we're able to talk to administrators. This is fresh off the press.
We haven't
Yeah,
talked to
we haven't
anybody.
talked to
We were
anybody yet.
just talking about it today,
You
so.
mentioned you mentioned the 6-week timeline. What is our kind of quote drop dead date that we need DSA approval by to use the Plan A, the original plan?
So I'm gonna give it a couple of weeks. If in a couple of weeks I don't have at least DSA comments, then it's time to call.
You'll keep us updated.
I'll keep you updated. I wish I had more information. This is a project that was kicked out by DSA when we first tried to submit because that site hasn't been touched in years. There was a lot of open legacy projects that they called it with A numbers that were not closed. So they wanted us to incorporate a lot of that. It's not an easy project. It's not because the project itself is hard. It's a challenging site. But I'll keep you updated. Hopefully by the next board meeting, I'll be able to present a full plan.
Okay, thank you, Noemi. Motion from Nelson and a second from Rebecca. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries 5-0 as well. Item 9.3, change order number 1 to bid number 2025-03 for PK conversion and kindergarten classroom door addition project at Holly Glen Elementary with Our Dependable Construction to be paid from Measure BE funds. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Second?
You have a second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to section 10, under fiscal, item 10.1 is to adopt resolution number 24/25.42 of the Board of Trustees of the Wiseman Unified School District, authorizing the issuance of Wiseman Unified School District election of 2022 general obligation bonds for Series B, actions related thereto. Is there a motion?
Yes, motion. I believe we're gonna have a presentation.
We do have a presentation.
I'll send Rebecca and move to the presentation before.
So I just want to, really energetically introduce Jen from Piper Sandler. Really been awesome in helping us, prepare these documents to prepare for this next sale, sort of keeping us on track from the financial standpoint. As you know, Piper Sandler is our financial advisor. Jen being the lead of that. And then I believe we're joined by Nick from Stradling. I'm going to mess. I know it's a list of Stradling and Stradling. There you go. Who's our bond counsel.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Dr. Silvers. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you again for that introduction, Dr. Silvers. So good evening, President Banuelos, members of the board. My name is Jin Kim, and I, along with your bond counsel, help the district on matters related to your facilities financing needs. So I know we're here this evening to ask you to consider adopting and approving the bond documents related to the next general obligation bond issuance. So prior to doing that, we thought that it might be helpful just to do a quick review about what a general obligation bond is, a little bit about our Measure EE bond program, and then some of the steps that are involved in the bond issuance process. So to that end, I've prepared a set of slides for you, and I'll try to be mindful of the time and go through these slides briskly. But quickly, what is a general obligation bond? It is a widely used financing tool to address the facilities needs of the district and the community. And because it's doing the work of the community is asked to tax themselves. And they were asked to tax themselves through a vote back in November of 2022. Now, one thing I like to remind the community is that the bond tax rates are calculated not based on the market value of your homes, but on the assessed value. Or put it simply, I tell my friends that the tax rates are calculated on what you bought your home for, rather than what you could sell your homes for today. And we know that there's a big delta between what you can sell your home for today versus what you may have bought your homes for years ago. Now, because bonds have to do with taxes, there are many protective features built into the law. And one of those protective features is what we're doing today, coming before you to seek your approval before taking a bond draw. And we will do that every time we take a bond draw. The other transparency and protective features is that there is a Citizens Bond Oversight Committee that reviews where bond proceeds are being spent. Now, you might be wondering, well, what can we spend our bond proceeds for? Put it in broad categories. Bond proceeds can be spent for facilities update, modernization, technology upgrades, security, and infrastructure projects. Where you can't spend bond projects are for utility bills, like paying for your electricity bills, water bills, and paying for administrative and teacher salaries and pension. Those cannot be financed through the bonds. Now that we've covered a little bit about what a GO bond is, let's talk about Measure EE, our bond program. If you remember, the voters approved and authorized $98 million bond package back in 2022. We've taken a draw of 25 million already. And if you notice here, we're not taking the entire draw all at once. It's actually spread out over a 10-year period. And this is a very common practice by school districts, especially for a TK-12 school district like ours, because we want to take bond draws and make our bond draws last for the duration in which the current students are matriculating through our program. And this is done by design. Now, this next bond issuance, which we're here this evening to seek your approval for, is the $34 million bond package. Now, again, a little bit about our bond program. Each bond draw has a repayment period of 30 years, very similar to our mortgage. And you're going to see this common theme. You're going to see some similarities between our own personal finances and bond finances. And one other thing I'd like to point out here is while the voters approved the $98 million bond package, the community is not paying taxes, or are we paying interest on that $98 million? It's like a line of credit. We only pay for interest and we only levy taxes for bonds which we have taken draws for. So currently, the only thing that the community is paying for is that $25 million bonds, which we drew back a couple of years ago. A couple of other things here, the $30 tax rate, that's the targeted tax rate which we are targeting for your community. The maximum legally allowable tax rate for a district like ours is $60. Okay, so we're well underneath that. That assessed valuation growth rate, that 4%, you might be wondering, well, is that a reasonable percentage, right? And how do we come up with that? Well, to come up with that value as a planning tool, we looked at the district's past historical growth rates. And when we looked at the 25-year history, we noticed that the district's average growth rate was above 5%. So based on that set of facts, we determined that a 4% might be a reasonable tool for us to assume here for our community members here. Lastly, again, each bond draw has to be approved by the board prior to proceeding with the bond issuance. Now, what happens after the district acts on the bond today? Well, broadly speaking, a bond issuance process can be divided into three major phases. The first phase is the drafting of the legal documents, which are before you today, and asking you to take action on those documents. After that's done, we enter into a credit rating phase of the process. So here is another similarity to our personal finances. Just as a bank might check our credit score when we took out a mortgage loan, every time we take a bond issuance, the investors would like to know what our credit rating is. And during that process, the district will be represented by Dr. Silvers and his team, along with myself and Nick, and we will get a credit rating assigned to our bonds. Once that's completed, we enter the final phase, which is the bond issuance phase. Here, your banking and underwriting team will conduct a nationwide bond search to find investors on your bonds. And they will create a competitive environment where all these investors will be vying to purchase your bonds. And their job is to compile a set of interest rates, which is in the best interest of the district. And that interest rates will be presented to Dr. Silvers, the team, Nick, and myself, and we'll make a determination as to lock in those interest rates. Once that's done and we sell the bonds, we will take the proceeds and deposit that at the LA County Treasury, and the money will be held in trust for the district's use on facilities and projects. So that's a little bit about what a GO bond is, a little bit about our Measure E bonds, and the process involved. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes.
I do have a couple questions. You said something that's interesting I hadn't thought about before, that this is shopped out to potential buyers. Is this likely to be funded with organizations that are going to send it out to individuals, or is this institutional buyers? What are we likely to get here?
It's a combination of both. Because our bond is a 30-year repayment period, there will be slivers of bonds which will be appropriate for the individual investors, if you will, and there will be slivers of bonds which will be more appropriate for larger institutions. Typically speaking, bonds with shorter maturity, so the earlier maturities will be sold to individual investors, and then the longer maturities will be sold to institutions like insurance companies.
Okay. And then my other two questions are premature, probably, but just get your thoughts. I'm assuming you're going to Moody's, or who would we go to for rating?
That's absolutely right. We will be going to Moody's Investor Service. Just as a refresher, there are two major credit rating agencies in the country that rate bonds like ours. It's Moody's Investor Service, and the others is Standard & Poor's. Historically, we've gone to Moody's Investor Service, and just like we did last time, that's what we intend to do this time around.
So do we have any, I know we have no control over this, but do we have any predilection on what that rating will be? And then more relevantly to our community and all of us as residents is predilection on the rate. And I know that's a difficult question.
We'll hold you to that one, by the way.
Yeah.
I know you will.
Stable environment.
Yeah, I know this timing's silly, but to the world you're in.
It's perfectly fine. So every time a credit rating analyst or a credit rating agency make an assessment about what to rate a school district bond issues at, there are 11 potential outcomes. It ranges anywhere from AAA all the way to non-investment grade. And however, I like to categorize them into three categories: high credit rating, middle credit rating, and low credit rating. Our bond will probably be in the high credit rating. That's where it was rated last time, and I expect that we will be in that same high credit rating. Now, when we're in the high credit rating, in terms of the interest rates, you've probably seen all of the macroeconomic news this past week, or this week actually, right? And it's still ongoing. As a matter of fact, I was looking at my charts today. This evening, the interest rates are starting to tick back up again. So it's hard to predict where the interest rates would be. But for a bond like ours, based on current set of facts, where we stand, I think the average interest rate, would be under about 5%.
I think you got us under 3 last time, so.
We did.
Yeah. In a high rate environment, I will add. I was blown away.
Yes, so that was a very attractive interest rate. That will be challenging to get, almost, I would say, impossible, simply because back then we were in a different environment. We're coming off of a COVID pandemic, and interest rates were historically low. You probably see that in your personal finances as well. If you refinanced your mortgage loans back then, you probably got 2-3%. If you were to get a new mortgage rate today, you're thinking 6-7%. So it's very akin to that. So I don't think we're in that environment anymore. But even at a 5% interest rate, it's still very competitive. Because if you think about our mortgage rates now, it's 5 to 7%. And if you were to go get a construction loan, I'd imagine it'd be even higher than that. So
We do offer, is this not, last thing, sorry, we're in the weeds here. Is this not double tax-free investment that would lower the rate therefore?
That's exactly what it is. That's why we're getting the 5%, because it is double tax-free on the majority component of it.
I challenge you to do better than that.
And we will try. I
There
will
you
try.
go. There you go. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any further questions for Jen? No? Okay, I have a motion from Nelson and a second from Rebecca. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I had 2 votes.
I'm
I
sorry.
was getting
I called the
distracted
question.
by
So,
Denise.
Neil was distracted. So far, I have 2 votes.
You better call the question.
Call the question again.
It was Michelle, right? It was Michelle.
I request a big change.
Uh-oh. Well, Jen, thank you for your presentation, but I don't know what's gonna happen. No. I have a motion
for the
from Nelson and a second from Rebecca. All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go. 5-0. Thank you. You guys all had me nervous there. Item 10.2, adopt resolution number 24/25.43 of the Board of Trustees of the Wiseman Unified School District regarding its intention to issue tax exempt general obligation bonds. Is there a motion?
You have a motion?
Send a second?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Michelle.
A second.
Oh, Michelle. Yes. Any questions?
No.
Hearing none? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. All right. See, I like it. You guys are on it now.
And just, you know, that allows us to reimburse ourselves. I mean, that was pretty self-explanatory. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Item 10.3, ratify a consultant agreement with Education Management Solutions, EMS. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I'd be careful about this one.
I'm joking, but I couldn't help myself.
Any questions?
No, thankful for Greg being here.
Early welcome, Greg.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye. Official welcome, Greg.
Welcome, Greg.
I feel like an old hat on the board because the last time I was a newbie when Greg was working with the district. Now Michelle is, but we're still talking about the bond that we helped pass.
Feeling a little bit of pride.
That's right.
Thank you. Item 10.4.
Can I make a quick comment on the bond? Just a quick comment on the bond. Due to the wisdom of, some people we don't realize this, we don't talk about this much, but due to the wisdom of those who created school funding, no one ever there was no school funding created for facilities. The state, the federal government, nobody gives us money for facilities. So thank you again, community. We can't do this without you. So thank you.
Very well said. Thank you, Neil. Sure. I'll call the question. Actually, not call the question. Is there a motion for items 10.4 and 10.5 to be together? 10.4 is ratify a memorandum of contract with San Joaquin County Office of Ed. And 10.5 is to approve master service agreement with Inclusive Learning Partners.
So moved.
You have a second?
Nelson, any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Rebecca. 10.6, approve auditor for fiscal years 24, 25, 25, 26, and 26, 27. So that's 3 school years. With Christy White and Associates, or Christy White Associates.
You have a motion. This is for Measure CL2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, second and comment.
Neil?
I can speak to it too.
Okay.
Dr. Gold.
I'll bring you into the conversation Dr. Silvers and I were having, in that I had commented and sent a note regarding, this is Measure CL, which is a joint effort of 5 school districts. And it struck me that anytime we can have economies of scale and leveraged expenses, shared expenses, all 5 school districts, not buying auditing services independently, but can we leverage that together? That was my suggestion. Dr. Silvers, you have an update.
Yeah, we actually have been in communication with, as you all know, Sentinella Valley is the AU, the administrative unit for this, parcel tax, for the JPA that manages this parcel tax. And we are responsible to do a Measure CL audit every year and present that to the board and present it to our oversight committee. We are looking at options to centralize that, to have one auditing firm. I know we have an attorney that's going to visit the group, the JPA, to share some of the benefits of doing that. And also it is a cost savings and probably an efficiency, an increase in.
Do the same thing for 5 times.
Right. And it's not a ton of money, that we're auditing. So it should be relatively easy to push to that process. So we would still bring to you an audit report to accept, but it would probably have other districts as well. I'm not sure what that final product will look like for you all, but certainly we would have that annual report for you all to accept as well, the audit report.
Nelson, did you have a question as well?
No.
No question. Okay, I have a motion from Nelson and a second from Neil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. 10.7, approve revision of not to exceed cost for purchases of Chromebooks from NWN Carousel. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second on the comment.
Yep.
Sorry. Surprising, I know. I just also reached out to Dr. Silvers, and I love him to give the conversation, the learning that you gave to me. This is a significant expense, not a significant add-on. We did approval of our last meeting, but I wanted to ensure this was vetted significantly, and Dr. Silvers, just give us an update.
I already forgot what I told you.
Yeah, better be consistent, right?
No, we actually, thank you to Tony. Tony helped spearhead this process. It is a piggybackable contract. And we did receive three bids that were informal because it's a piggybackable bid. So they were informal bids, and NWN was the lowest price. So it was well vetted. We did reach as far as we could, far and wide as we could. Obviously, the more bids you get, the better it is. Hopefully you'll get some lower bids in there. But NWN did come in at the lowest bid. What you're seeing before you today is just it's an administrative error. We just didn't add tax and some of the shipping costs to it. I believe it was sorry if I'm not exact, but around a $60,000 difference. So we're just adding that to this just to make it one package, and this will make us complete on that $1,700 purchase. But it was bid competitively.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm going to jump to section 12, which is upcoming dates and events. Spring break. I heard a lot of people already excited about that. So April 4th, Monday starting April 14th through Monday, April 21st. And then coming back. We will be shortly thereafter having our open houses at Holly Glen, starting on Wednesday, April 30th, followed by Del Air on May 7th. And then our next regularly scheduled board meeting is May 8th and May 22nd. Any other major items or anything, Blake?
Yeah, I would just add Rock Around the Block. April
I did say
25th.
major items, and that's one.
Right, I get that right?
Yeah.
What's 25th, right?
26.
Sorry.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we.
Saturday.
I'm gonna show up the 25th and be in the dunk tank on the 25th.
There you go.
That's what's gonna happen.
No water in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You will definitely be the first one.
Right, yeah.
That concludes our agenda for this evening. I wanted to just say thank you to everyone. Thank you for all your contributions that make Wiseburn a great community and a great school district. Thank you again for everything you do day in and day out for our students and community. Thank you. With that, we're going to adjourn to a closed session at 7:05.